You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Been frozen out.
Facing an extinction level event.
We don't fight this fight right now. You're not going to have black-owned media. You have consistently heard me talk on this show about how crucial it is when it comes to advertising dollars and how black-owned media is consistently frozen out of the money. $150 billion a year is spent on media advertising. Major corporations, publicly traded companies, private companies, the federal government. Black-owned media, small number. I've had many people say to me, well, why shouldn't or why don't we see black-owned media companies the size of a Fox News and a CNN, a New York Times? Why are black newspapers so small? Why is it? It is because we have not gotten enough of the pie. We talked about it on here, and understand the game, understand how the game is set up. The companies give their money to the ad agencies to control. Well, the ad agencies are all white-led. And so then they make us jump through hoops, play games. I won't bore y'all, but trust me, I cannot tell you the conversations that we've had with ad agencies where the company is saying, oh, we know Roland, we like Roland, want to do business with Roland, but the ad agency got their whole other agenda going on. And so we sitting here, we're trying to make stuff happen, and it's just fill this out, put this together, and they never come back with money. Then you have those industries where we are significant drivers of their bottom line. Take, for instance, General Motors. General Motors, more than 11% of their buyers are African American. Cadillac, oh, we know their numbers. But black-owned media spending, not even 3%. Yesterday, in Sunday's Detroit Free Press, Byron Allen took this ad out, signed by several people, including yours truly, specifically calling out the CEO of General Motors, Mary Barra, for refusing to meet with us to discuss advertising opportunities. As you see, it was signed by Byron Allen, Butch Graves, head of Black Enterprise, Ice Cube, his basketball league, yours truly, Todd Brown, of course, founder of Urban Edge Networks, HBCU League Pass, Junior Bridgeman, who recently purchased Ebony Magazine, Don Jackson, of course, Central City Productions. Why is that the case? Why is that the case? It's the case, folks, because where's the money? And let me be real clear here. We're not talking about black targeted. Let me be real clear to everybody who's paying attention. If you watch the NAACP Image Awards on Saturday night, and you saw all of these companies advertising, and that was a long list of them, that money is not going to black-owned. Let me unpack that. The money, I don't even need to repeat, the money is going for checks for African Americans who work there. The money is not going to build black wealth. Some of y'all missed that. Let me just read for this. These were the advertisers during the NAACP Image Awards. Wells Fargo, Ford, Google, Ruffles, Target, American Family Insurance, Snickers, T-Mobile, L'Oreal, Walmart, Facebook, Geico, Wendy's, McDonald's, The Good Feet Store, Amazon, Vaseline, Chime, Healthcare.gov, Kellogg Special K, LegalZoom, General Insurance, Metamucil, Toyota, Sheba Cat Food, Little Caesars Pizza, Jack in the Box, BET MGM, Cadbury Chocolate, Walgreens, Burger King, TurboTax, Frosted Flakes Kellogg's, Travelocity, M. Gallaty, Hyundai, Pizza Hut, Stanley Steamer, Procter & Gamble, Hennessy, Hershey's Chocolate, Lincoln. All of that advertising money flowed to Viacom CBS. Who is the principal shareholder of Viacom CBS? Sherry Redstone. Black employees, not black wealth. Black News Channel, recently launched. Majority owner is the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Pakistani American, not black owned. Black targeted. Complex, black targeted. Who owns them? That money goes to Verizon. Yeah, I can go on and on and on. Not black owned, black targeted. Bounce TV, that's Scripps, not black owned. You see what I'm saying? I've always said that America has always monetized blackness, yet black people have not benefited from the monetization of black people.
Well.
And so we had a call with General Motors. We'll have another one, and laid out exactly what should happen. And not sort of this one-off. And also, this is not a situation where folks want to pick off 2 or 3 black media people. This is where black-owned media people have to learn how to stand together. Do y'all know why OPEC is so powerful? They call them a cartel. Do you know why cartels are powerful? Julian gonna explain in a second. It's because they stick together. They don't allow themselves to get picked off. They control the product and the price to maximize money. Black newspapers could be bigger and stronger. Black magazines. Just so y'all know, if it wasn't for the conferences and Black Enterprise, they'd be out of business. They told me that point blank. 90% of the money of Essence comes from the Essence Festival, not the magazine. Blavity make their money from Afrotech, their conference. That's what you see going on, folks. We launched this show September 4th, 2018. We've been able to grow this show methodically. We are in the black. But if you showed me a white media company that had the growth that we've had in 2.5 years, I can guarantee you they will be doing more than a few $1 million a year in revenue. I can guarantee you. So when we talk about where's our money in economic social justice, what we're talking about is going after the very dollars we are already spending. I just read for you all of those companies. And so here's what the NAACP should be asking to every single one of the companies that advertise during the NAACP Image Awards on BET. What is your black-owned media spend? I want to know the black companies you're using for your commercials. I want to know the black catering companies. I want to know the black technology companies. I want to know the black ad agencies. I want to know the black companies that are driving dollars. What I'm trying to get y'all to understand is this here. It's my last point before I go to the panel. When we have these black events and corporations are buying tables, and we're excited that so-and-so's our platinum level sponsor, so-and-so's our gold and silver and bronze partner. So-and-so is the lead sponsor of tonight's dinner. Well, guess what? If black-owned media got our fair share, we wouldn't need their tables because we could be the lead sponsor. This is not, I'm not going to be like a preacher, but this is, and then I love some Emily, sounds like Roland doesn't understand the game. No, boo, you don't understand the game. I understand the game. I've been in this since I was 14 years old. See, let me break it down to y'all, for y'all simple Simons who don't quite get it. In Brett Pulley's book, The $1 Billion Bet, the unauthorized biography of BET, he writes that BET, when Viacom bought them, was getting $1,500 for a 30-second spot. The same spot on MTV was getting $8,000. Do the math. BET was getting, when it was black-owned, when it was owned by Sheila Johnson and Bob Johnson, they were getting $1,500 for a 30-second ad, and it was $8,000 on MTV. Now I'm about to really trip y'all out. BET was sold for $3.3 billion. Had BET, see y'all about to, had BET been getting the $8,000 for those spots versus the $1,500, BET's worth likely would have been $10 billion. I'm about to really blow y'all away. BET's likely value would have been $10 billion. I told y'all they sold for 3.3, which means that had Bob and Sheila Johnson sold, don't miss this, sold 1/3 of BET, they would have sold it for $3.3 billion. And they would still own 2/3 of BET. I don't think some of y'all just heard what I said. Had BET, Julian, gotten its full value, $8,000 versus $1,500, BET's value would have likely been 3 times more than what it was sold for. So had they gotten their full value, they could have sold, in order to be liquid, they could have sold 1/3 of the company for $3.3 billion, which is what they got when they had to sell the whole damn company. So had the ad agencies and the companies not undervalued the black consumer and not played black media small, BET would still be black owned because they could have sold 1/3 of BET for $3.3 billion, still had the company, and it been worth another $6 to $7 billion. But in order for them to maximize the value, they had to sell the whole thing. And now Viacom owns it. And now Viacom is making more money off the monetization of black people, and it's not benefiting black folk. Black wealth is not being created with BET getting a lion's share of the money. And we can go down the line of all of these black targeted companies. So the reason black-owned media is not in a position to build capacity because we're being frozen out of the dollars because of lip service. That's why the letter was dropped targeting General Motors. And that's why it's a whole host of companies. We're coming after all of you because y'all have been making billions off of black people, and you have not been giving it back to black-owned media. Julian, your thoughts?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind when you talk about the $1,500 ad on BET versus the $8,000 on MTV, that's a difference of a fact of 5, Roland, not 3, which means they could have sold 20%.
I want to go 5. I ain't even want to go 5. I want to keep it simple. I just want to keep it simple. But you're right.
I want to keep it accurate.
No. For the person, see, for the folk out there who is like a little too much, I wanted to show if you go 3, they could still sold 1/3 or 3.3 what they actually got total and still hold on to it. But I get your point. But go ahead.
So you're basically really talking about the constant undervaluation of black people economically, socially, politically, and otherwise. In terms of the folks who do not invest in black-owned media, but want us to be the ones to buy their stuff, this requires some internal discipline on our parts. How dare GM, but any other company, and we know they all do it, and the black-owned ad agencies often get the little tiniest slice of the pie. But not only that, the black-owned media companies are very often, as you said, ignored. Now, you could tell stories that would curl people's ears about how you go to these agencies to try to get an ad. Years ago, about 15, I tried to start do a show thing, and some of my friends and ads said, go here, go here, go here, go here. Well, you talk about running a sister around. And people, as you said, they'd ask you for more. They'd ask you for numbers. What is your cue? Give us some samples. And you spend hours putting that mess together and never
get the contract.
Yeah.
And never get it.
Call you and say, this doesn't quite meet our specifications. I said, well, you gave me the specifications. What you want me to do? But basically, they don't want. I must tell this story just to make some people watch and laugh. I met with one guy who said to me, is it in my interest to have a smart black woman on the air every day? He actually moved his mouth and formed his lips to say that to me. So he said, you can do commentary, but no, you don't need to have your own thing. White man told me that to my face, smiling. And they said, would you like to have lunch? I said, no, I don't eat crow. So, but in any case, the economics of this are, we spend our money over $1 trillion. We spend our money, we get very little ROI. I'm glad that you guys wrote the letter to put GM on the carpet, but there's so many others that need to be looked at. And not in terms of, do they go to the black ad agencies, but do black-owned media get some dollars? Because many of the black agencies are not making their own decisions either. They're like almost go-betweens. So when Roland Martin comes, when some of the others come, and you had 6 signatories there. When they come, basically, they ought to be on top of the pile, not at the bottom. So the Black News Channel, interesting, good idea. But again, not black owned, not generating black wealth.
And it's a Pakistani American, Shaw. And again, I appreciate the network, but if they go out and start generating hundreds of millions of dollars in advertising, that's going to him. He's already a billionaire. It's not going to African Americans. They are black investors.
And even more than that, Roland, when they invest in his, and you then go and say, I'm Roland Martin, I've got this daily digital show. Well, we already advertised with the Black News Channel.
Yep.
That was the answer. So basically, folks can out-black us without being black.
And that's what happened. They can out-black us on black targeted. And again, we're trying to compete against black targeted with massive resources, and black people are not benefiting from it. That's the real deal. Teresa, I want to go Teresa, pull her in. So, Teresa, again, this is, folks say, man, I really wouldn't call people out like that. Here's the deal. Show me, please, where black people have gotten anything by having to play nice. We call for the meeting, we go through all the processes, and we still fine. So obviously the only way folk react is when we have to call folk out.
call them out. The kick, drag out specialty is what I like to call it. But we have to be honest here. It's interesting that, you know, and again, I am a proponent of all Black media outlets, but it's interesting that we actually have to fight against each other in order for us to get on the platforms, different platforms. You don't see Fox News, you don't see, you know, CNN and some other white conglomerates that are larger media platforms fighting against each other just for media ad buys. It's essentially, if you advertise with one Black entity, it essentially, you know, it's like a domino effect. They feel like with one budget. And part of it is, you know, African Americans and minorities, we have to know the value of our wealth. And part of it is when the deal is time to be made, we have to make real strategic decisions when we are starting to look down the line and not just the short-term gain just to get out, knowing that vision that we had early on could potentially be a whole generational wealth, but we got to hold on to our equity. We got to hold on to our Black economics. But that, I believe that is what is missing as of right now. But how bigger companies can support Black medium outlets and i.e. daily digital shows like yours, Roland, is to continuously, you know, not just buy the tables and buy the sponsorship and say, hey, we support 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, but continuously figure out what that economic equity plan looks like for African Americans, what it looks like for Black media outlets, and saying, listen, you know, shares are, you know, maybe could become available. I know that's probably a long shot, but it's also an opportunity. Or we keep creating content and hold our content and not selling it. But we got to stop selling ourselves short, especially if we don't know the actual number we are actually worth in this billion-dollar economy.
Andrew, when Fox sold their company to Disney, I need everybody to listen to me. Fox sold the company to Disney for $71.3 billion. $71.3 billion. Robert Smith is the richest African American in the United States. He is worth $7 billion. Fox sold Disney to the tune of 10 Robert Smiths. That means that when they sold it, Rupert Murdoch walked away with billions. His sons, each billions. Daughter, billions. If you have the ability to be able to create a Black-owned media company and acquire other assets and build, and then down the road, let's say sell it, you could sell it for 10, 20, 30, 40. I mean, I can only imagine what BET could have been built to, or Ebony and others, if they were getting the dollars. Billions, y'all. Andrew, when you're frozen out of the game, when you're completely frozen out, when the rules are created to specifically freeze you out, this is why you can't grow. It doesn't mean, I'm telling you, y'all.
No, it doesn't mean you can't grow. Only grow so much.
I rarely watch this show. I rarely watch this show on the TV when I get home. I mean, I went home and I was like, damn, this show look good. I put it up against some other products. Imagine if I had 5% of CNN's budget. 5. Imagine 5. Y'all, Fox, y'all, profit is gonna be $1 billion. 5% of $1 billion? I take, that's 50 million. Y'all, it's 50 million. Do y'all know what this show would look like? What we would be able to cover with a budget of $50 million a year?
Do you imagine what I would look like on your platform with the...
See, you
have congressional.
But Andrew, this is the thing that people don't understand. That's how we are frozen out. We can never get to that point because of the arbitrary rules they create. Go ahead.
Well, the big point, I really appreciate that you are using your platform, Roland, to speak out against this. I mean, there's just so much money that's always made on the backs of Black people. not only in media, but we could talk about housing and how we've been shut out of that, or education with the GI Bill coming out of World War II. I mean, I think media is another frontier because we need to be able to tell our stories and cover the news in a unique way for our community. And there are not a lot of platforms that do that. So I think you should keep fighting. We all really need to keep stepping up and like holding these companies accountable. Billion-dollar profits. We know about the investments that African Americans are making on our spending power, but we need to demand more from these companies. And it really doesn't seem like there's much incentive for them. I'm struggling. You know, a lot of these companies have Black board members. A lot of these companies may have Black executives. Why has it been so hard for so long to have these investments in Black media and Black newspapers?
Okay, so I'm going to do something right here, and let me preface this. This is not to say they don't matter. But this is where they also play us. Let me be real clear. We need Black board members. But by the time it gets to the... No, listen. We need Black board members. By the time it gets to the board, the decision has already been made. Okay. The power is not... Let me be clear, folks. The power is not a Black person on the board. The power... who is in the operational chain. See, it's P&E. It's P&E. P&E, y'all, if you do not have P&L, if you do not have P&L responsibility, yo, you ain't got power in the company. All these diversity, equity, and inclusion jobs, ask how many staffers do they have. Ask what's their budget. Ask how much do they control. It's P&L responsibility. P&L, who's the chief marketing officer? See, you can have all the Black board members. No, who's the CMO? Who's the COO? See, that's where the power is. But see, and so again, they get us, hey, we appointed a Black board member. But are your senior level executives, are they Black? Or do you only have one? Julian, final comment, go.
There's a book called Blacks on Boards. It's a really old book that I reviewed years ago. But it talked about how these corporations go to look for Black people who pretty much look like them.
Come on.
In other words, they're not looking for Roland Martin.
Hell no.
They're not looking for Julianne Malvo. They're looking for somebody who basically has already been finished, polished, taught how to act. I think one of the most effective Black board members is John Rogers at Ariel Capital Management because he does not mind calling people out. But the fact is that the executives are almost incidental unless they're the CEO. The board members are almost incidental, their representation, but unless they're on the finance committee, unless they're making some kind of decisions, unless they're in the meeting before the meeting, it's just representation. It's not necessarily change making. So don't believe the hype when you see this Black face and everybody claps and says, oh yeah, so-and-so just got on this board. Good for them, but how are they willing to take them on, or are they happy to be their Black person?
Last point here, just so y'all understand, Roger Ferguson, go to my iPad. Roger Ferguson was the CEO of TIAA. He was replaced by Thasunda Brown Duckett. This is the first time in history that a Fortune 500 company replaced a Black CEO with another Black CEO. The brother who just stepped down at Merck, his number 2 is Black. He was not made the CEO. All I'm saying, y'all, is you need to understand the game, and we're going to deal with this advertising money in order to be able to grow. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.